project number 2 for the weekend. The little spoolie boy no longer spools, so we're gonna put a new turbo on this thing. Little lady over there was just rowing the gears and it decided to break, so I guess it's time to put a new turbo on it. If you don't know this, it's a little oily, but it's a 300,000 mile BEW Volkswagen 1.9 liter diesel. Kind of unique car, especially in the times of today's world when you want fuel mileage. This thing on average hasn't been getting as good as we want it to be. It's been getting about 40-ish, but it's not terrible. It is deleted, but it is bone stock, everything else. It's stock tune, stock turbo, stock air, stock fuel, everything stock. It had a timing belt done when she bought it, which was like 10,000 miles on it, or 10,000 miles ago probably, and we haven't done nothing but change the oil and filters and some suspension parts, some minor stuff. These wheels, if you're a Volkswagen person, those are 1 year wheels. They only came, or they might have been one, I think they're only 1 year, but they came on the, I think it's the Golf. Yeah, they come on the Golf in 2005, I want to say, maybe 2004, but they're only a 1 year wheel and they're really, really rare. Of course, factory, they're like the regular factory gray color. I went ahead and had them powder coated for Christmas for her, and they're just like a metallic black. And of course, since it's her car, I think the purple really set it off. I went ahead and wrapped the center caps, and we got some purple little dice, and of course black armor window tint. If you're in the Missouri area, he's the best guy around. I mean, you can't get a cleaner job from anybody. Mr. Corey Nelson himself is the boss at tinting stuff. He has tinted everything, even the service truck. Everything I own has went to him, and he's about to wrap the roof for this because Volkswagens have very terrible clear coat peeling issues, but that should be a simple fix. We did get, well, the day she blew the freaking turbo up, she got a new rust-free fender, same color, off of another one, so we're going to put that on here. We're going to try to show you guys how to put a turbo on this, maybe do a little informational kind of turbo stuff. A lot of guys, this is a very common turbo. It's a VNT1749. A lot of people, it's like, I don't know how to necessarily say it, but it's just above stock. It's not like a super big turbo or anything like that. It's a stock drivable turbo, good fuel mileage, and it runs good. This turbo, it's going to make a little bit more power than factory. It's going to be able to spool a little bit more. They say the downfalls of these cars are putting and when you open up the exhaust system, so straight pipe, but taking the factory like 2-inch exhaust off of it, and this thing's got full 3-inch from the turbo back. So it sounds pretty cool, but apparently that'll make the turbo overspeed. If it overspeeds the turbo, of course you're going to lose your impeller wheel or the external or the exhaust side wheel. Apparently it'll, for some reason, overspin them. I guess because it doesn't have back pressure. Not my problem. This car made it 300,000 miles on that turbo, so I think we'll be fine. I did go ahead and opt to get the one with the smart actuator because it has it on it. It'll make it drive better, and it was like $150 more, but it comes with it factory, so we might as well keep it on it. And it's just not going to sound like the later model ALH cars, but should run pretty good. We got a stage 2 tune from this. We went through Malone tuning, which then took us to Tranzilla, and we got they call it like a flash box or something like that, but it'll flash the tune in for us. We got to download it offline, and this thing will go from 100 horse TDI Jetta to 140 horse. So we're getting 40 horse, and I want to say like 50 something foot-pounds. So that's pretty impressive, honestly. It should be making, I think on the tune it says 257 foot-pounds. That's quite a bit out of a little car. I mean, I bet you this car only weighs 2,800 pounds, maybe 3,000 pounds. So this thing hopefully should get good fuel mileage too, and maybe smoke a little bit. She wants a little smoke, so here we go. I know it's a little bit of a long intro, but you guys have never seen this car before, and it's new, so there we are. But we're gonna get under here, swap the turbo out, have some fun. So stay tuned. You guys are curious on what that time lapse was just about. Took the exhaust side off. I'm working on getting all the manifold bolts off of there. I've got all of them but one out. And the oil feed line, which is directly above this line right here, it is straight up above that. And I have to get that oil feed line off before I can get to the last bolt. And I know it's really hard to see, but it's just above that turbo, basically directly above this line right here, just above it on the top side. Once I get that loose there, I can get my socket in there to take the last manifold bolt off. This guy I'll pull out of the way somehow, whether I pick it up and get it out, but once I get the feed line off, all that'll be just fine. Get up. But I do think I'm going to have to find the proper socket for these. These are like a 12-point T40, which I don't know what the correct term is. They might call it something different, but I need to get a 12-point T40 to remove these, because if I remove these, I can remove this. Hopefully, I already took the sway bar link off, and I'm hoping there's enough bend in that axle I can get it to come down, like down this way. I'm hoping if I could get it to come down and then like angle out a little bit, like up here out of the way, and then I can just drop that turbo straight down through this area. I was told by some other people that you might have to take the intake off and do it from the top side, but I thought this was going to be a little easier, so I'm going to try it. And so far I've gotten to every bolt. There's a lot of room up in there, honestly. Like, once you get your hand up in here, you got tons of room. I've been sticking my electric snap-on ratchet up in there, getting those out. But other than hooking or loosening up this, and there's one like engine mount bolt that blocks, one of those engine, there's a bolt that bolts to the engine that holds the turbo on, so it's like a turbo mount. I'll get that out of there and get this axle off here and pull it out. But like I said, I don't have my a 12-point like Torx or reverse 12-point, or however you want to say it. I don't have the correct size for that, so maybe I can run to the parts store tomorrow and find it. If not, I'll be hitting up the Hobo Freight. So booyah. Well, the old wicked wheel left the chat. Little bit of Carnage in there. I can't get any out, but it's kind of stuck in there. But this is a OEM turbo. I don't know if you guys can see that. I know it's kind of bright, but that is an OEM Volkswagen. Volkswagen will always put the Volkswagen emblem or the Audi emblem on any of their parts, because Audi is pretty close to Volkswagen. They're both German. I think they're both the manufacturers. Therefore, it's kind of like Buick and Chevy, or Pontiac and Chevy, or GMC and Chevy. You know, it's kind of something like that. Pretty close to. Most people don't know that, but Audi is Volkswagen. Volkswagen is Audi type deal. But the turbo is unbolted. Everything's out of there. We just need to get these bolts out, like I said. So we're gonna have to run to the old Harbor Freight or something tomorrow and find that special socket. Only thing that I can complain about working on any type of Volkswagen stuff is you're always gonna need something dumb. So we got the axle out of the way, which let us get this turbo out of the way, get it out of there. So basically what we had to do was we had to go find a triple square socket, and that is the technical definition for that socket. We needed an 8mm for this particular axle stub shaft, however you want to call it. But I got that stub shaft out of the way, and we got the turbo out. There is, see if we can get a little bit better picture of the Carnage. Yeah, it's no longer a perfect wheel in there. So we got to get that out. We got to swap this plate off. This is the EGR blocker plate. Got to put that plate on there. And I fixed the broken wires already for this smart actuator, but that, I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna last. Maybe we need to get a new pigtail, whether we find that off a parts car or if we find that off of Kerma or something like that, one of the websites for it. But not a big deal for now. We can, I think I got it fixed good enough. I ended up pulling the pin out of it and doing that stuff. So we got to get the oil drain line, which is right here. We got to get that pulled out of here and installed onto here. Hopefully those bolts come out all right. And then we have to replace this guy. This is the feed line, so we have to replace that. That shouldn't be that big of a problem. This end goes into the turbo, and this end goes into the engine somewhere. I gotta find that yet, which I've been underneath the car, so I haven't really paid attention. So we'll get this swapped out, we'll get the drain line swapped out, and hopefully we can stick this thing back up in there. Out with the old, in with the new. So we got the new turbo is up in there. We got everything hooked up. Everything went together really smooth since we got that axle shaft out of there. I could get my electric ratchet all the way up in there. They got all of them tight. Went through them, snugged it. So all that's good to go. We are going to start it up with it. It's still factory on the factory tune. We're gonna see if it sounds any different, see what else, so you guys kind of know too. Factory, I want to say it's supposed to be basically the same. I know you guys don't really know what it ran like before this, but factory is it's gonna run about like factory. It ain't gonna run any better, I don't think. It might run ever so slightly better, but it ain't gonna be enough to notice. But we do have, like I said, a stage 2 tune we're gonna load on this thing, but we were out of electric this morning, you know, with the really terribly bad weather we're having right now. But we were out of electricity for a little while. I don't know what was happening. They don't know what was happening. It was sun shining almost all day, so I don't know why we ran out of electric. But there's that. The electric's back on. We are gonna upload the tune with the computer. Now we have Wi-Fi, and then we're gonna come out here and flash the tune. But we're gonna start it up. We're gonna maybe take it on a little drive. Then we're gonna download the tune, flash the tune in, and go from there. But everything's back in. We're good to go. We do want to, if you guys are gonna do this yourself, we put a brand new feed line on here, which is this guy right here. We are gonna sit here and we're gonna dump a little bit of oil down it to try and prime that turbo just a little bit. No, I wouldn't say you necessarily have to, but it's probably a good practice to do. And it takes like no time. The fitting you put it on is literally right down there. It's like no time to do it, so you might as well do it. But we're gonna do that. We're gonna dump a little oil in it. We're gonna start this thing up. So here we go. Alright, we got the tune downloaded. It took forever to get it to download, but we're not, I guess, too tech savvy for this stuff. But we finally got it to download. It is downloaded on here. It's kind of hard to read, but that says original file on the top, and then it says the stage 2 file. So we're going to go forward with that, and it's going to, I'm assuming, take us and go through it. I've never done this before. But it's communicating with the ECU, and I guess it's gonna start uploading the new file, and we'll see how this goes. So stay tuned.
Completed. Switch ignition off and disconnect power gate 3.
We got the real teacher out here teaching us today.
Alright. Unplug it.
Yeah.
Really?
When I requested the tune, I wanted the check engine light to be off because I did an EGR delete. So we now have no lights besides the airbag light. We pulled the seats out when we first got this car to clean it, and I don't know if the plug didn't get plugged back in or something, but I'm not real worried about that light. I just wanted the check engine light off so we know our vitals are good if something were to happen in the future. But we're gonna go take this thing for a test drive and see how it does. Might strap a little camera right here so you can see it, get a little sound maybe. Might put it on the back window so you don't get as much wind noise or something, but we'll do something. We'll go for a little drive. We gotta get it off the jack stands, go from there. So it's gonna be hopefully a ripper, but we'll see.